So you've finished your first riding season goofing around on a Gixxer 250, Ninja 250, or any Royal Enfield, and you decided that it's time to get a motorcycle instead of a scooter wearing the dead skin suit of a bike. There's only one problem. You've got between now and March or April to save up for a motorcycle, meaning you can't be spending a bunch of money on maintenance because you're buying a fast bike, and fast bikes are kind of expensive. Well, wouldn't you know it, I've cooked up a list of 7 juicy motorcycles that you can purchase secondhand and not have to worry about spending a bunch of money maintaining. Some of them are obvious and other ones might surprise you. Now, while none of these bikes are new and basically all of them come from before 2010, rest assured they're all going to be absolute land speed missiles capable of getting you to warp speed in the blink of an eye. And as we all know, motorcycles peaked in 2005 with the Gixxer Thou. The only question left to answer is, what are you going to do with all that extra time you're not spending doing maintenance on your bike? Here's an idea. Do some maintenance on your balls. No, that's not what I mean. Oh my God, get your head out of the gutter. Don't show me that. I'm talking about shaving the Sasquatch you've got hibernating in your pants. But Yammie, I hear you cry winter is coming, and I've spent the last few months wearing a pew blanket to keep my nethers warm. First off, that's kind of disgusting. Indoor heating is a thing. Secondly, have you heard of long johns, right? Do yourself a favor, get the Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped. It's the only ball shaver endorsed by yours truly, and I consider myself the internet's foremost authority on pube trimmers and turbo boosas. How has life gotten so far off the rails? I'm not really sure. Anyway, it's got a longer battery life, wireless charging, and trimmer guards so you can leave a little left over if you're not wanting that naked mole rat look. But wait, there's more! Manscaped's got nose hair trimmers, manicure stuff so you can trim your nails, see what I did there, and deodorants and colognes to keep you smelling nice all day long. They got their brand new body wash too. Click the link down below and get yourself all this trim and goodness for 20% off just by clicking the link. Do it. Now, number 1 on our list of fast and cheap bikes to maintain is our slowest fully fared option, the ZX6R. Yes, a 600cc Supersport is the slowest thing on the list, so girdle those freshly shorn loins for what's about to come, my pocket-sized Sepio lid. But let's focus on the ZX6R. Really, any Japanese 600 will do here, and I know you're going to want the ZX6 because it makes the most power out of all of them at 130 horsepower and 52 foot-pounds of Torgarinos. Now, I hate this part of myself, but after riding around an R6 around on the street, I couldn't help but enjoy myself a little bit. Would it make a better track bike? Yes, of course. Do I want to make it into a race bike? Obviously. But I do understand why some diehard squids run 600s on the street. They're pretty fun to ring out, and by comparison to their leader bike counterparts, you can actually run through a few gears before you need to worry about who you might be sharing a cell with for the night. Big Bubba's not so nice. Don't get that one. You can get yourself into a ZX6 for around $5,000, which is pretty good for what you're getting. Now, unlike a lot of other used bikes, it doesn't really matter how a 600 was run unless it was really abused, because they're literally designed to spend their entire life at Redline, so you don't need to worry about adult-owned, never abused in the ad. Look guys, if my race bike still turns on and runs, that's all you need to worry about. The real thing to look for is when the last time the valves were checked and how many tasteless 600 boy mods does the bike have. You'll probably just want to go ahead and remove most of those anyways. The fewer the better. But Yammie, 600s aren't fast. I want to go fast. You promised me there will be fast bikes on the list. Okay, fine. Have a Hayabusa. Yes, that's right. Number 2 goes to the motherfucking Hayabusa. 175 horsepower, 102 foot-pounds of Torkoichimus, and 550 pounds on the most dubious brakes ever put on a superbike. Those 3 pots are not good. The Gen 1 Busa is a perfect bike for someone who's looking to go stupid fast on a budget. First off, you can get into a Gen 1 for like $6 grand, which is about what I paid for mine, which is so much speed for the money. If you're surprised, I didn't include a Turbo Busa on the list because, well, those are always worth $13,000, and that's not really all that cheap. But surely a 1298cc inline 4 putting down all that power costs a lot to maintain. Nope, not at all. Busas are essentially immortal. The engines are low compression, it doesn't rev out that far, and since it was made before all the emissions requirements, it doesn't really run hot. You could probably get away with skipping a valve service as long as you get it on the next interval. And I can speak from experience and fact that you can quite literally just put a turbo on them, and as long as you replace the head gasket, it'll just run and make like 80 more horsepower at the wheel. Yeah. It's a basic inline 4, so you could probably figure out how to do the valves yourself with the YouTube video and a service manual. You're never going to have to worry whether or not the bike's going to start up. When we had our Busa sitting in the back of a shop, it would occasionally go a month or 2 without turning on, and it would crank every time, first time. It doesn't matter if it has a 15,000 miles or 100,000 miles. A Busa basically is the Energizer Bunny of the motorcycling world, and you can't stop it. sometimes literally. Again, those brakes are really not very good. Now, how about something a little more exotic to break up our string of Japanese bikes? May I offer you this handsome Ducati 1098? Believe it or not, you can actually afford a Ducati superbike that has a twin-cylinder engine and not have to explain to your significant other where all of your retirement money went. We picked up our giveaway Ducati 1098 for a little over $9,000, which makes it a bit more expensive than some Japanese bikes, but welcome to Eurobike life. Also, ours was like absolutely mint, so there's that. If you want an Italian motorcycle under $5,000, can I possibly interest you in this 49cc Vespa with a basket on the front? Now, I know what you're thinking. Ducatis have Desmos, and Desmos burn money as a fuel source, don't they? Yeah, kinda. The thing is, if you want a Desmo Ducati, you need to pick the right one. Something like a brand new Panigale has a bunch of technology between you and the valves, which means that you've got a bunch of extra labor that goes into driving up the cost. The 1098 doesn't really have any of that stuff. If you're thinking about picking one up, just check and make sure it's got the Desmo's been done by the last owner, and you're good to go. It's also worth pointing out that as a street leader bike, the 1098 is more fun than most because the gears are so short, and you actually get to use all 6 gears in the box and feel all the torque. Seriously, such a fun street bike. Okay, so maybe the Ducati is stretching your frugal penny-pinching ways a bit too far. Let's get back on track with a truly cheap motorcycle, the Gixxer Thou. I've been talking a lot about them lately. I think I might have some sort of complex. Maybe I'm just hanging out with Josh too much. Should we do a K5 Gixxer as our next modern classic? Let me know down below. Now, K5s are something of a collector's item now, but you can get later models, say 2006 to 2010, for not a lot of money, and they have an absolutely bulletproof inline 4. So much so that Suzuki is still using this engine in their motorcycles. But you want numbers, so how many numbers does the Gixxer pack after the K5? The 08, for example, was packing 185 horsepower and 86 foot-pounds of Torquinos, which is a boatload for the time and for today. It's 1 year newer than the Busa with 10 extra ponies and a lot less weight. Or you could just be basic and get the K5. Either way, the only thing you're gonna kill on this bike is by running it into a wall. Just change the oil and you're good to go. So far, we've only talked about sport bikes, so let's round out the list with a few cheap, reliable, and easy to maintain naked bikes that'll snap your neck back. Number 5 goes to the FZ1 from basically any year. They're all cheap to buy and are all running the pre-cross-plane R1 engine. I suppose if you need a sport bike from Yamaha, you could just go for the R1 from the early 2000s, but we're talking naked bikes now. The most expensive FZ1 I saw was a really well taken care of 2015 going for $7,500, which is a lot for this list, but you can get 2002s all day long for like $3 grand, which is a lot of bike for the money. So let's get numbers on this bad boy. You've got 143 horsepower and 78 foot-pounds of torque, which is the exact same as the Honda CB1000R for 2021, so that's just kind of sad for the Honda, not the FZ1. I guess that means Suzuki's onto something with the K5 motor that keeps slapping into stuff. Once again, this bike will only die if you do something bad to it. If you're going to go for touring at the speed of light, you can put saddlebags on the FZ and just hit the road. They also have a half-faired version so you can become the moto dad you always wanted to be. Plus, if you go the route of the FZ1, you get to join a prestigious club of absolutely insufferable FZ1 owners that won't shut up about how cool their FZ1 is, how the MT10 isn't as good, which is just wrong. Number 6, we're going back to Europe and the sunny beaches of England. Wait, you mean there isn't any sun in England? Oh, okay, I gotcha. For number 6, we're going to the dismal rain-soaked hills of England with the Triumph Speed Triple. Because the new Speed Triples just came out, all the old ones suddenly become old and busted, so every owner's dropping them like a hot potato. So you can get 1050s for not a lot of money. From a mid-2010s to about 2015, you can get them for anywhere from $5 to $7 grand. That'll buy you 131 horsepower and 78 foot-pounds of torques, which is plenty fast. I would caution you against going much older than 2010 because some of those bikes have serious electrical gremlins, and as a Triumph owner myself, I don't touch any pre-2010 Triumph. I'm just saying. Maybe building them in the rain wasn't the best idea. These have some pretty sweet features with just a cheap bike like a single-sided swing arm, Brembo brakes, and a big old analog tack so you can watch it spin all the way up to its relatively tame 9,500 RPM. Be warned though, the Speed Triples don't have the same kind of sounds as something like the Daytona, but hey, at least you'll be able to ride it for more than 30 minutes at the time. And also, torque. Speed Triple has torque for days. You're not going to be able to just run the bike forever and expect it to live a healthy life like the Japanese inline 4s on the list, so you'll have to change the oil, check the valves, but it's not a Ducati, so you don't need a bunch of special tools. As long as you're halfway decent with a wrench, you'll probably be fine. Rounding out the list today is our third Suzuki. It's almost like they designed their bikes to be owned and ridden by absolute degenerates who don't take care of them. If you know anything about anything, you've probably been waiting for me to mention this. It's the Bandit 1250. It's the slowest of our naked bike category, but it is super crazy cheap. You can get a 2016 for $7,000 and a 2008-ish bike for $5,000. The best part about them is it doesn't matter what year you go with, as long as you're getting a 1250, you've got 95 horsepower and 79 foot-pounds of torque. Now, I'll hear a lot of you thinking, why would I buy one of these? Well, it's because all of them Torgos hit right at 3,700 RPM. Yup. That's basically off idle when this thing comes to inline fours. It's got a reputation for being a wheelie monster, and while it's not as quick in a straight line, it'll pop dank nooners all day long, and isn't that what we want? You can basically do whatever you want to the Bandit and it'll keep running, and in this case, I'm including it running it straight into a wall because it's a steel cradle frame, so you'd need to drop it in a quarry to kill it. You can skip a valve check here and there, or don't because it's easy work, but rest assured, it'll get up and pop wheelies whenever you want. Fact! 18% of Americans claim to have seen or felt the presence of a ghost. I think that Gixxer 250 definitely has a little bit of a ghost energy to it. Goodbye. Well, my little squid, you've made it to the end of yet another Yammie Noob video. Thank you so much for watching. Just for you, got a little treat for you right over here. Brand new video for you. You can watch it, check it out. There's probably some squidding, some street riding, maybe some track riding. Maybe I'm binning my Ducati off-road. Who knows what's going on in that video? You should probably click on it and find out.